Hello everybody and welcome to History of. I'm your host and resident superhero nerd Aaron Waller, and this is a series where we do a deep dive into various comic book characters, both heroes and villains, and give a little bit better insight into who they are and why they do what they do. And in today's episode we're talking about a fourth wall breaking bombshell, and no, I'm not talking about Deadpool, I'm talking about She-Hulk. She-Hulk was created by Marvel legends Stan Lee and John Buscema and first appeared in Savage She-Hulk #1, which was published in 1980. She was actually a product of Marvel Comics' push to have a female Hulk, as the 1970s Incredible Hulk TV show was doing so well, they thought it would introduce a female Hulk to keep the story going. She-Hulk just ended up being a byproduct of Marvel trying to outdo, well, Marvel, or at least the owners of the Hulk at the time. She-Hulk, better known as Jennifer Walters, was born in Los Angeles, California, and is the cousin of the original Hulk, Bruce Banner. She would grow up spending hours at the library and spending time with her cousin to help him escape his abusive father. Young Jennifer wanted to be a dancer, which her sheriff father did not approve of. And one day, while on her way to a recital with her mother, they would be in a car accident which would kill her mom, driving further separation with her father. Jennifer would then grow up to be accepted into Harvard and UCLA, where she would get her law degree summa cum laude. While pursuing her law career in LA, her cousin Bruce would visit her and reveal his transformation as the Hulk. And while on the way to a more secluded area to talk about it, crime boss Nicholas Trask would shoot and wound Jennifer as she was defending a gangster testifying against him. Realizing her crucial state, Bruce would give Jennifer a blood transfusion using his own blood. Unfortunately, Jennifer would die, but thanks to the blood transfusion, she would be thrust into the below place, where she would enter a green door and come back to life, and she was able to be taken to a hospital. Trask would later put another hit on Jennifer, but this time when attacked, the gamma radiation in her blood would activate, turning her skin green and increasing her size and strength to become She-Hulk. And after reverting back to her normal form, Trask would then put yet another hit on Jennifer, but mistakenly kill her friend Jill. Jennifer would become furious and go after Trask in her She-Hulk form, but Trask had kidnapped her father and placed an explosive on him. Luckily, She-Hulk is able to save her father, but it wouldn't be her final battle with Trask. That would come during his attempt to drill for oil and overtake the Roxxon Oil Company. The boring machine, deemed the Silver Serpent, would malfunction and dig deep into the earth with Trask inside, eventually killing him. And once Trask is gone, Jennifer is able to move on and have various relationships and even rekindle her relationship with her father after she reveals her She-Hulk identity. She would eventually go on to join the Avengers after Janet Van Dyne recruits her, and she would quit her day job as a lawyer and become a full-time superhero. She would play a role in Secret Wars, become a member of the Fantastic Four, and eventually get a second solo run of comics titled The Sensational She-Hulk in 1989. Where she would once again become a lawyer, then district attorney, and even defend the heroes for hire, the Defenders. But why this comic series is so significant is this is where She-Hulk would realize that she's in a comic book and break the fourth wall, achieving a feat that Deadpool wouldn't become famous for at least for a couple more years. During Civil War, she would side with Tony Stark, not the best move in my opinion, and register with the Superhuman Registration Act, as it's well known her identity of Jennifer Walters and she much preferred the She-Hulk form. So she just stayed that way. She would also go on to defend Speedball, the character who was involved in the incident that started the Civil War, in court. Unfortunately, Jennifer would lose her powers, temporarily regain them to fight her cousin after his return from Sakaar in World War Hulk, but she wouldn't be strong enough to beat him and lose her powers again anyway. Thankfully, an alternate version of herself does appear, and with the help of Reed Richards, she's able to regain her powers. And after a rough time of battling with other members of the Hulk family, leave a thumbs up down below if you want to see a video on them, she eventually joins the A-Force, an all-female Avengers team. Then during Civil War II, she would try and fight the Mad Titan Thanos, lose, and go into a coma. She would of course recover, but unfortunately completely lose control of her powers and change randomly into a more of a gray She-Hulk and denounce heroing. She would eventually regain control and get a power boost from the Dark Celestial, but at a cost of no longer being able to keep her mind when transformed. This would put her abilities more in line with her cousins. This would eventually be corrected once the Dark Celestial is removed from her, and she would even go on to date Thor. She-Hulk will be making her live-action debut in the self-titled Disney Plus series starring Tatiana Maslany in 2022. Now you're probably wondering, how exactly does She-Hulk differ from her more famous cousin, the Hulk, and what different powers and abilities do the two have? Well, there actually isn't a whole lot of difference here. She obviously transforms into a big green monster who is super strong, fast, super healing, and can leap vast distances. But the key difference here is her mind. Jennifer Walters is able to completely keep her mind when in the She-Hulk transformation through a majority of the comics. This even allows her to not completely destroy a city when trying to save it. And as I mentioned briefly earlier, she even prefers the She-Hulk form and stays in it through a vast majority of her appearances throughout comic history. Whether this will be explored during the She-Hulk series is unknown, but if it does become a reality, we can count on some very CG heavy shows down the line. So those are some of the things you need to know about She-Hulk. She has her upcoming series, so this will give you a nice ground base layer of things to know about the character going into the series. Let me know if you learned anything new down in the comments, and while you're down there, let me know if any other characters you may want to see on this series. I need suggestions and I need your help. Your suggestion might become next week's video. But also while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future content from me or the rest of the AAC team as we have new content daily, whether that be live streams, whether that be blog posts, whether that be just random videos here and there, or the History of series. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell notification so you don't miss out on any of it. Other than that, that's all I have for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video.